speaking. Then you can just start talking. This guy right here. Your name goes away. Okay.
Call this meeting to order, the Surveillance Advisory Board special meeting. And it's 6:02 p.m. All right. Let's see. Next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, next item is roll call.
Board Member Stewart. Board Member Stewart. Board Member Riddell. Board Member Riddell. Board Member Moreno.
Here.
And Board Member Bisholk. For the record, Board Member Vice Chair Lee is out sick today, so Board Member Moreno will be presiding over the meeting.
Next item is the Community Forum. Do we have any speakers?
Thank you, Board Member Moreno. I currently do not have any members of the public signed up for the Community Forum. If interested parties are willing to speak during the Community Forum, we do have a timer reflected on the top left corner of your screen for folks to either sign up at the terminal in the back or raise their hands on Zoom. At the conclusion of that timer, if anyone signs up, I will be sure to let you know, but feel free to carry on with the agenda in the meantime.
Thank you. All right, moving forward, approving the minute meetings from the last meeting, March 27th, 2025. Give the board a few
We can
seconds.
do it with the motion and a second.
Second.
Second? Okay. Are we doing a vote on the thing or just voice vote?
It's up to you.
Oh, I can just do a voice vote. This is for approval of the minutes and the consent calendar, so, and the agenda, approval of the agenda. So Board Member Stewart,
Yes.
Board Member Riddell,
Yes.
Board Member Moreno,
Yes.
and Board Member Bisholk.
Yes.
And absent is Vice Chair Lee.
Next up is the report of the committee and board secretary.
Yes, so good evening, board members. Just a few updates. We do have interviews. The board, there's vacancies on the board, SAB boards, and those vacancies, interviews took place on April 23rd. City Council will be making appointments for the vacancies on May 13th. So your next meeting is scheduled for May 15th, and hopefully we'll have a full board that will be sworn in. So just to give you that update. And then secondly, board members had asked a while ago to create a SAB page that documents their entire work. For example, all the resolutions or the training docs that are pertaining to the board. I have created such a page. Manny, if you can bring up that page for me. So that page has been created on vallejopd.net website, and you can see that page here. And I'll go ahead and email that link out to everybody as well. So if you scroll down to the bottom of it, So you can see it has links to all the resos and the trainings that board has participated in and the resos that board has passed. And I'll be keeping a running like a tally here. So anything that the board passes will be documented here. Again, the idea is to keep one place where a new board members can come in and kind of see the work done by the board in the past. Okay. So that's the updates I have today. Thank you.
Thank you. Just checking
And,
back in. Do we have any?
Thank you. I was just going to update you. No speakers at this time for community forum.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Does the city attorney have anything to report?
Nothing to report this evening.
Thank you. Moving on next to the report of the city council liaison. Thank you, Councilmember Bergenser. Next up is the action calendar. So,
We have number 9.
oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Report of the chairperson and members of the committee board. Does anybody have anything to report? No? Okay. Moving quite quickly along here. All right, now we have the action calendar. 10A. So that's the adoption of the resolution recommending or not recommending the deployment of automated red light camera technology by the Vallejo Police Department with the board to discuss and make these changes to the resolution during the meeting. Captain Bautista, do you have any findings that you'd like to share with us?
Good evening. So during the last meeting, I was requested to do some research regarding other agencies that had an RLS system in place. Through that research, I was able to locate 6 different agencies who had the RLS or some form of the RLS system in their city. It's important to note that a lot of their policies are dictated by what's outlined in 21455.5 of the Vehicle Code. In relation to who can access it, all photos are confidential and shall be made available only to governmental agencies and law enforcement agencies. And the registered owner or any individual identified by the registered owner as the driver of the vehicle at the time of the alleged violation shall be permitted to review the photographic evidence of the alleged violation. And regarding retention period for the same vehicle code, the confidential records and information described in paragraphs 1 and 2 may be retained for up to 6 months. So in my research, I was able to locate information from Napa PD, Beverly Hills PD, San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency, Fremont PD, and Citrus Heights PD and Salinas PD. I limited the questions to 3 specific questions. First question is, who can access the photos? What is the retention period? And where are the photos stored? And I'll basically go down with each agency and what their corresponding answers were. With regard to Napa PD, they currently use Conduit. Traffic personnel and CSOs who are trained can access it. Their retention period is aligned with 21455.5 VC, and their system is also embedded LPR and video recording, both of which hold for 30 days. The photos and videos are stored within the system itself, and that is for Napa Conduit. Beverly Hills uses the same company, Conduit. Regarding who can access, traffic control officers, standing judge on RLS cases, previous members who worked RLS positions, and the Conduit team. Their retention period is 5 years. And the videos the photos are stored in the conduit server. San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency, they use Vera Mobility. The administrative analyst, permit clerk, and associate engineer can access the photos. The department may store and retain raw data only as long as necessary to accomplish a lawful and authorized use. For violations resulting in issuance of a citation, the 5-year retention period matches the 5-year retention period of the Superior Court. And they are stored in the local storage server and contractor's data center. Fremont PD uses Reflex Traffic Systems, which is now a subsidiary of Vera Mobility. Who can access the photos? Data from the system will only be reviewed by the traffic lieutenant and staff that have been trained and who are deemed to be qualified for law enforcement employees. Their retention period aligns with 21455.5 VC as well. And their system also has embedded LPR and video recording. All activations not resulting in a notice to appear shall be destroyed 60 days after the activation. And their photos are stored in secure data centers managed by Vera Mobility. Specifics are not available to the public. Citrus Heights PD. They also use Redflex Traffic Systems, which is a subsidiary of Vera Mobility. And it can only be reviewed by personnel trained on the system. Their retention period aligns with 21455.5 of the vehicle code. And they also have a system embedded LPR and video recording, both of which are 30 days stored. And this is stored in secure data centers managed by Vera Mobility as well. Salinas PD, which is the last agency I was able to find, they're currently using Vera Mobility. However, their contract was not renewed by the vendor. Who can access it? All officers who have been trained on the system, and their retention is aligned with Vera Mobility, with 21455.5 VC, and the photos are stored in the Vera Mobility server. It's important to note that during my research, I would find a list of agencies that had some type of red light enforcement system. However, in further researching, I would find articles that would later on update the original article saying that they no longer use it. So these were the 6 specific ones I found, I believe. Let me see, 1, 2, 3. Yes. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the board?
Thank you for the presentation. I do want to ask, those entities that stopped using the red light cameras, what were the reasons? What reasons did they cite for doing so?
Most recently, the one I got from, information I got from Salinas PD was that the company did not renew the contract because they were not generating as much revenue as originally thought.
Who?
The red light enforcement.
The
The
city
city.
wasn't getting revenue, or the company itself wasn't generating enough revenue as it thought?
So with Salinas PD, they had an arrangement with Vera Mobility where they provided the actual equipment. However, the city was still in charge of maintenance, all of the other poles, miscellaneous equipment, things of that nature. So it wasn't like a complete free package.
So
it
for
was
the
a shared package.
So for the city, it cost more than what they were getting back in revenue, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Go for it.
I'm not sure how traffic tickets work. Is 60 days enough time the retention period of 60 days, is that enough time? In case somebody objects to it, wants to fight the ticket?
So, I mean, every agency has their own
Right.
policy with regards to retention. But however, it's 6 months is the retention period for, according to 2455.5 of the
Okay.
vehicle code. So
Sorry.
there are a lot more details as to, with regards to retention, and it all depends on whether or not someone is fighting the ticket or, for majority of the time that I've found in my research, if you have someone that is fighting a ticket, they will keep it for the remainder of that period.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay, until it's resolved.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I misheard. I thought it was 60 days. I heard 60 instead of 6
6
months.
months,
So,
sir.
Yeah, okay. Okay, but there is provision that if it does go beyond that.
Yes, sir.
You can keep it. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? Yes. One that I was going to ask. Captain Bautista, from your research, you said how many were discontinuing use or maybe not renewing the subscription or the purchase of that technology? You gave
Honestly,
us, let's see, Salinas, Beverly Hills, San Francisco, Fremont, Napa.
So the only 3 agencies I actually got a response from are Napa, Beverly Hills, and Salinas. And Salinas was the one who had discontinued their system.
Got it.
I was more or less focusing my search on the ones that still have it, so I could provide you guys with the proper information.
So Fremont, are you saying that Fremont no longer uses this?
No, Fremont has the Red Flex traffic system.
Okay. So I guess the question I have is, what's the difference between red light camera and RLS camera, or RLS type of camera? Is it the same thing?
So everyone has a different acronym for it.
Okay.
So RLS stands for Automated Red Light Enforcement System. Fremont calls theirs PERLIP, which is Photo Enforcement Red Light Program. So it's just a matter of acronyms which the departments decide to use.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I know when I did some research, I was like, there's all these different ones that are coming up, but it sounds like it's the same thing. So
Yes, it's the same.
it wasn't clear. Thank you. Any others? Yeah.
To our city attorney, sorry, I almost called you counsel, which, what is the process for overturning a resolution that gets passed by this board? Could another board potentially undo that resolution, or would it take more effort than essentially putting it on the agenda and having it be overturned?
The only entity that could overturn a resolution that you adopt would be the city council. So you make a recommendation to the city council, they can decide not to follow that recommendation.
So the language we have here states that it's a resolution of the Surveillance Advisory Board recommending against. Okay, gotcha. Could we use another terminology here? Could we submit a memo to the council rather than actually having a proposed resolution?
So we use resolutions because that's the way public agencies
Right.
make their decisions and keep records of them.
Right.
So we could put, the resolution can be in essentially any format as long as we follow the basic things here. So we can write under the part where you're actually taking the action, whatever you want to write. We recommend it. We don't recommend it because we think we need more research. We don't think this is the right time to do it. we have privacy concerns, whatever those are, we can, we can talk about those in the resolution.
Okay, thank you.
Go for it.
This is more for the body here. I do have an issue. For me, it's for a few things. I don't have an issue with the actual technology itself. I still have an issue with the language that is in the proposed resolution. Many of these things are not within our purview, and frankly, we are only here to look at, to our council liaison's point in our last meeting, we're only here to look at privacy concerns and effectiveness of the technology. So where, again, in one of these whereas, where it talks about the staffing levels and the cost of the technology, I don't think that's something that we need to be having the discussion over. I think that needs to just remain strictly with the council, because that should not be an influence in the decision of this body. And so if we are to move forward either way, I think it'd be wise, well, I would ask that we remove some of the language in this particular resolution on both, depending on which way we move with it, before we submit it to the council, if that is the decision of the entire body at the end of this discussion.
Thank you. I agree with you that I think that things that are outside of our purview should not be in our resolution. City Attorney, do you have any feedback or any recommendations?
Sure.
About that?
So these are only drafts. So again, we can put whatever you want to be in your resolution can be in the resolution, or whatever you don't want in your resolution, we can take out.
Got it. So if we wanted to move forward with taking out some things or maybe revising things, somebody need to make a motion?
You
and then we
can,
have-
or you can tell me what you want to do, and
Okay.
I can go back and write a final version, and then we can just bring that back to you at your next meeting.
Okay.
Or we can sit here and write it tonight. Either way is okay with me.
I'm okay with that. I think we've kind of mulled over this enough here. I think I don't know, from listening to the discussion, I think we know which direction we want to move in, given the information provided, but I could be wrong. So, but I have some thoughts, but I'll let other folks share if they have anything to say.
So if we were going to remove things, or does the entire board need to be on board with that?
So if we're going to actually do it tonight, yes, I would like for basically all of you to be in a consensus. If you want to give me direction and come back to you,
Okay.
then you just give me the direction and I'll write it. I have, I think, a pretty good idea. I agree with you that some of these things are not necessarily within your purview, but we had to put something in there and didn't know what you guys wanted to do yet. So we can definitely go and take, for example, the cost of it is probably not relevant to the decision that you're making. The staffing levels aren't relevant to the decisions that you're making. Those things I can take out, and I can just focus it on the privacy and technology issues.
From my looking at it, the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 10th, and 11th whereas, concern budget issues or staffing issues. Maybe some others do too, but that's my first run through. That there wouldn't be right now much left after it, but I think those are the ones that
Four,
are within the purview.
4, 5, 6,
7, 10, and 11.
7, 10, and 11. Yeah.
Yes.
I'd even go a step further. Not on. I'd even go a step further and even say 9. I'm still kind of hung up on there are ways to identify drivers. Obviously, if a car is stolen, that's obviously going to be reported. But other than that, folks typically know who's driving their car. So that just doesn't sit well with me as a reason to not move forward with this. But if we're going to be doing some sausage making while we're up here, I would suggest that I mean, personally, again, the technology for me is not the issue. So for me, it's recommendation in favor of the technology. However, absent the whereas that my colleague stated, and number 9. Now, whether or not the city can pay for that, that's beyond us. But the actual use of the technology, I see no issue with it in the city, especially given that we have a lot of community members who have issues with traffic, folks speeding. So even if we have, not that I'm suggesting this at all, but even if we have empty cameras hanging on light poles, right, it may be a deterrent similar to an officer parking a car in the middle of a neighborhood.
Thank you. Yeah, I also, have been sitting with this as we've been having conversations with it, where I also am for this technology. So having this draft of recommending against the acquisition and use of this technology is a little, teetering on,
You have both.
Yeah. But here,
You
in
get the
front of us,
pick.
we have that.
The next page over is
Yeah,
the one
gotcha.
recommending
Thank
for.
you, thank you.
Right.
I also feel like the number 7, did you mention number 7? I'm sorry if I missed that.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Number 7 feels kind of like hearsay. It's like, this might happen, people are going to, go to avoid these intersections. Well, there's some intersections you can't really avoid, to be honest. But yeah. So, which are the resolution, or the points, the whereas, that we're looking to
So if
remove?
I'm looking at the resolution recommending 4.
Okay.
Because that's the feeling that you're giving me that you're leaning toward. So we would remove resolution number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, and 9 and 10.
What about 11?
I don't have 11 on that one. Next page over, yeah.
Yeah.
If I may, I would even like to state that the Surveillance Advisory Board sees no, or has no issues with the privacy concerns, or potential privacy concerns that could be raised. Just if that's a whereas, we can add in here in terms of being in favor for it.
So my suggestion there would be to add that in section 1.
Okay.
So it's not really recital, it's the determination, the final determination that you made.
Right.
Is that you don't have privacy concerns, right? So that would be under section 1. That's where I would suggest that be added. So are you saying, and you guys are all going to have to tell me this when you get ready to vote, if we were to say, in section 1, if I were to say, based upon the above recitals and the information provided by VPD, the board finds that it has no privacy concerns and that the proposed use of RLS is beneficial to the city of Vallejo and its citizens at this time and recommends its purchase and deployment. Would that work?
Well,
Go ahead.
one privacy concern I have is,
Microphone, please. Sorry,
It's got to be read, yeah.
one more time.
There you
okay,
go.
yeah, one privacy concern that I have is the retention period. And the vehicle code period seems to me to be a reasonable period. I'm not sure if the Superior Court 5-year thing, I'm not sure what purpose that would serve.
So I can,
except for getting into,
I can
using it for
answer
things that are
that.
inappropriate.
So these photographs, when a citation is issued, these photographs are used as part of the evidence package that goes to the court. And once it's in the court's hands, it's out of our hands. We don't get to control that.
Does it go to Superior Court?
Yes,
Really?
yes.
Okay. So if it went to court, it would do that, but if it didn't go to court,
If it didn't go to court, you could go with the 6-month detention. Once it's admitted into evidence and accepted into the trial, if there is one, that becomes part of the court's file, and we can't control what they do.
yeah, Captain, the agencies that use the vehicle code, would you know if, if they follow this hybrid system, where if it goes to court, they use the 5-year retention cycle, but if it doesn't, they use the 6 months, or they just use the vehicle code system for 6 months?
I would say, are you talking about for the ones that I researched, sir, or?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, yeah. Let's see. So Beverly Hills and San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency are the only two that follow the 5-year retention period of the Superior Court.
Okay. And those that don't, I mean, they get rid of everything after 6 months, even if it went to court?
I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know.
From a legal perspective, I don't see a reason to keep it for 5 years for the agency, that is the police department, to keep it for 5 years. Right. Once it goes through the court system and a decision is made on that case, that's resolved. It's basically done forever. There wouldn't be any need that I can even think of for us to have that in our records to be able to go back, because it's completely resolved and it's not going to change.
I have a question, City Attorney. If we make a resolution, we support, the use of this technology, City Council votes to put that into place, would that just come back to us to help to draft a resolution, or not, sorry, to draft a policy around that technology?
You can certainly ask for that, yes. That is within your purview to draft, help draft the policy in relation to the privacy aspects of it.
And I would say, yes, that would come back to the board before the purchase of that item anyway.
Got it. Do we need to add that kind of language into this?
You can if you'd like, sure.
Okay.
I just had a question. Do we have to still, if we're just kind of saying that we don't have any privacy concerns, do we still have to use the terminology that we are recommending the acquisition and use? Is that what you were going to say? Yeah, because I don't really feel comfortable putting that on us if we're not technically, that's not what we're really saying.
Sure, you can recommend. The ordinance does allow you to make a recommendation as to the use of equipment. Of course, acquiring it is part of it. So, if you don't have any privacy concerns, you can make a recommendation. We did the opposite of that on the gunshot detection system. We recommended not acquiring it. So we've done it already, only the opposite way. It's okay to do it if you're going to say yes, and say yes, we recommend acquiring the equipment and using it.
And through the chair, we're not selecting a vendor. This is just a technology itself in
Right.
general. Yeah.
You're only approving the technology, or recommending the technology, not the vendor at all. That's up to the city council.
But do we have to recommend it either way, or can we just say that we don't have any privacy concerns, you guys make the decision?
The ordinance asks for you to make a recommendation to council about the technology, yes.
Okay.
And with that, how we have to recommend for it or against it, would we have to do another vote to,
Sure, we haven't actually voted yet on whether to recommend it or not, so we would have to do a vote, correct?
okay.
Or if there's a consensus that you want to make a recommendation for, like I said, I can go back and redraft the resolution for you, and we'll bring it back at your next meeting, which is going to be,
15th of May.
sure, not too far off. That might be the easiest thing to do, rather than having us sit here and try to wordsmith an entire reso this evening. I get what you want to do, and I can take care of that for you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I have a problem with the term acquisition. And I would much rather go with something like, and please tell me if we can't move forward with that. Something like recommending the further exploration, because what we got here was very high level, right? And I appreciate the presentation, but as much staff time has gone into this, and as much more staff time will have to go into actually acquiring the technology, doing the RFPs and all that good stuff. And I'm sure council's going to want probably even a deeper understanding of what they're actually going to be purchasing if they move forward with that. I would much rather prefer the term of maybe recommending the not investigation, that's a bad term, but you kind of get my point here. What I'm saying is that the staff do a deeper dive if that's something that they want to move forward on and use resources on, rather than the acquisition, because then it looks as if still, though we're recommending the technology, we're saying, yeah, go for it, go spend the money, do all that.
So if you want to say that you're recommending further investigation of the technology, I think that's fine.
Okay. Well,
At this time.
I would prefer that term. Yeah, that's all I have for now. Thank you.
And with that, it sounds like we're going to work with you, City Attorney, to make the changes and bring that back to us?
Yes.
Okay.
If I have consensus among you that we're doing a resolution recommending in favor, right? Okay.
Can I just clarify just what is it that you have now, and what should we be looking forward to next month in terms of the language in this resolution?
I'm going to take out all of the things that we talked about taking out. I'm going to add some language about privacy, and I'm going to add language that says that you're recommending that the council investigate the use of the technology further.
Okay, thank you. I have one more question, sorry. This is to our council liaison. Did that clear to you how we kind of sit on this? Because I know once it goes to council, I don't want any confusion. It gets kicked back down. Now we have Officer Jerome here for 3 more meetings.
I think the point of this body is to make a recommendation, and so either you think we should explore it or we shouldn't, but I think watering it down to the point of you're indifferent as to whether we do it or not is not something that I think the council is expecting from this body, but it's your decision. You can pass it forward. The council will review it. We'll probably end up kicking it back to you to do more investigation if you're not recommending one way or the other.
Okay. Oh, I mean, it sounds like we are recommending it, right? That's what you understand.
Well, so let me try this. So this would be section 1. Based upon the above recitals and the information provided by the Vallejo Police Department, the board finds that it has no privacy concerns and that the proposed use of ARLs is beneficial to the city of Vallejo, and the SAB recommends that the city council investigate the use of the technology further. If you want me to add language that after that says investigate the technology further, and we can add back in the and acquire the technology if council feels that it's beneficial to the city. We could do something along those lines.
Hearing that now, I see what you mean. So
Yeah, that way they don't feel like they necessarily have to send it back to you. You're giving your blessing. If they think it's good to move forward, they can move forward.
That's sort of what I was
Is that what you're looking for?
hoping for.
Okay.
Okay. Just, okay.
Sure, we can, I'll make that work.
Thank you. I look forward to your next council liaison report.
And Chair, again, when the resolution goes back to the city council, and whatever the city council direction is, whether to go for it and they make funds available, and they said go and select a vendor, that vendor will come back to you. You'll have a chance to review that vendor just like you did Flock and Exxon.
Thank you for that additional information. Appreciate it.
And I'm sorry, one more thing. I also think that you asked me to add a provision there that says you'd like to have the policy come back to you. If they acquire the equipment, that you'd like to have the police department bring the policy back to you for you to take a look at.
We don't even have a policy right now, so SAB will be involved in creating a policy.
Right.
Okay.
But if I heard you right, one of you said that you'd like for that to be included in the reso so that we make sure that it comes back? Okay.
Yes, thank you. Anything else on this, y'all?
So Randy, do we do a vote for recommending?
We will wait
Okay.
until we bring the final resolution back on the 15th.
Okay, so, okay, great, thank you.
Thank you. All right. All right. Next, informational calendar. Is
Actually,
that
there's a
correct?
10B,
Oh,
yeah, the draft policy for Raven.
there we go. Got a lot of pages in this one.
Yeah, policy discussion for Raven.
Yeah, the discussion of the 10B is discussion of the Vallejo Police Department policy concerning Flock Raven gunshot technology system.
And I believe Captain Batista and Lieutenant Tai can tee this up, and the board can discuss the changes that they recommended in the ad hoc committee.
Thank you.
So Lieutenant Tai, you can go ahead and present the changes that the board recommended in the ad hoc committee. Then,
So this is the policy that the Surveillance Advisory Board, the subcommittee, and myself and Captain Bautista worked back and forth with. What we did is we used other agencies that we saw and similar technology that they were using, more of like the gunshot audio detection. They did not have the Raven system specifically. So we drafted the policy based on other systems similar from surrounding agencies, and then implemented what Vallejo's using, for example, our retention periods and everything else, to make sure they aligned with everything else. This went back and forth between the police department and the SAB a couple times, and we addressed all of the issues and that the subcommittee had. The only one unresolved issue was in regards to listing the SAB specifically in the policy. At the last meeting, we were told of Champaign Police Department had something similar, or maybe. We reviewed their policy and did not find anything that's specific to like adding the Surveillance Advisory Board. We left it still general with that sense that we can then work with the Surveillance Advisory Board to make sure that if there is something else that we needed to be added or reported on, as we're already doing, we would be able to do that. So we left that outside of the policy. Other than that, everything else was adopted that the subcommittee had presented us with. And then that policy was placed into your guys' packet as well.
Thank you, Lieutenant Tai. I know that Vice Chair Lee was, he was kind of championing that piece, that y'all did not put in there. He was working with y'all on that. But appreciate all the time and effort you've been working with us on this to draft this. And then I think I sent a clarification around the Champaign Police Department policy and procedures, where they didn't necessarily talk about third-party pieces, but they did have maybe a little more robust section in their policy around the reporting aspect. Did you have a chance to check that out?
So I based on specifically looking for the third-party portion that we had discussed. So their policy is going to be a different policy, just like every agency. So we used the language and the things that we felt were applicable to the city and applicable to what we are already presenting to the SAB.
Got it.
If there's something else that we needed to look at specifically, I'm unaware of
Okay.
specifics.
I have copies here if you want to check it out. And we can continue working with you on that. Does anybody have anything?
Could you just clarify what was the disagreement essentially between you and the SAB, and kind of where would that fall within this particular policy? I'm trying to follow here, but this the red line version is kind of confusing here.
Yeah, sure. So the only disagreement was whether or not we would list an outside entity, board or something into the police department's policy, which at this point, there's no other policy within the city that has SAB or another advisory board that's listed into it. So we were leaving it all the same throughout the rest of it.
But, okay, so where would that fall within this particular, you're just saying generally within the police policy?
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay, point two,
Could you,
If
help
you
me?
don't-
Where are you looking at so I can?
I'm looking at this red line version here with this police,
Yeah,
police
that-
department.
that's the page. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the page.
And so the idea was to exclude the SAB because no other advisory board or commission is listed in any other police.
Correct. So,
Protocol.
so no other policy has it. So these, if you look at all the comments, all of them have been resolved except for that one, number two. Number two is what Vice Chair had wrote, and then I replied back with no other VPD policy I'm aware of references any board group, including SAB or City Council, unless legal requirements such as AB 41.
Right.
And then I believe that Chapter 2.27 governs SAB and the purview that this has, which we do fall into, and we make sure that we are in alignment with. So that's already written in the municipal
Right.
code.
Right, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I will point out that the ordinance that created SAB specifically says that you have the authority to review any of the department's policies related to privacy upon request. So if you wanted to
Right.
do that, if you wanted to revisit this one somewhere down the road because you thought that it wasn't working the way you'd envisioned, you could ask that it be put back on the agenda, and you could discuss it again and make further recommendations.
Right, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I understood what
Absolutely.
the discrepancy was there.
Yeah, that was it. And part of it was that as things change with what we are reporting out to the SAB, one, what if we put something in there that violates policy then on our end? And we go, well, we cannot provide you. So we wanted to make sure that we have the ability to maneuver around. So if SAB's asking for, like the city attorney's office says, is, we want this information, we can provide it to you as well.
I think we actually provide the metrics on that now, don't we, as a report? And I'm assuming that's going to continue, so you'd still continue to get the reporting on the metrics on the system.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, comments around this? Well, now that we have this, well, I should say, now that the rest of the board has this, can we come back to this the next meeting and vote on it?
if the board wants to do that, yes, or you can vote on it this evening, either way.
Y'all feel y'all need some time to review?
Yeah, I would like to have Vice Chair Lee here, given he was a pretty instrumental member of that ad hoc committee. And I was only prepared for a discussion, given the agenda item, so, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll bring this back.
Yeah, not a problem. We'll bring this item back. Randy, would you mind adding a resolution for this as well? Another resolution? Okay. And then that, once the board votes, then the ad hoc committee would be dissolved, right? Or, okay.
Okay.
So I just want to be clear that the vote would be to make a recommendation on the flock policy. And it's not going to go, that's not necessarily something that would go to council, but it would be in the record that you recommended to the department that they adopt a policy that contains certain language, whatever that happens to be once you vote next time.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
All right. Now we're on the informational calendar. Is that correct?
Yes, we're on to the, yes.
All right. The technology usage reports.
Sure, so the packet we provided, the cell site simulator, which there was no usage in March. The ALPR stats is the same layout, as well as the Raven, and then the drone one. That one, unfortunately, I'm not able to produce that to Naveed prior to, so we printed those out. There's several in the back, as well as should be in your packet now. The only change on that one was I changed the header to more match what the ALPR header is using. And if you have questions on any of the usage things, myself or Captain Bautista will be more than happy to further explain.
I have more of a process question here. When you are doing a welfare check with a drone, what does that entail?
So that would depend on the call for service. For example, the welfare check could be a person down on the ground. It could be something going on, like there was, this one specifically, I can speak on behalf, there was a person that was down on the ground. They didn't know if it was a person or if it was garbage or what it was. So that was the welfare check that it was.
And could you just explain the ESU here? I don't have a
Emergency Services Unit.
Okay.
That'd be our SWAT team deployments.
Gotcha. So that's self-explanatory. All right, thank you.
I have a question about the cell site simulator. The report that you provide to us, that's when the technology is being used by VPD, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if another agency wanted to utilize that, is that noted here as well?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification.
Of course.
So further, I'll just add on that last year we did have some, and if you remember last year's, that's where some of the changes came to what we were reporting out on how, is because it was like, oh, another agency had asked us about it, and we had utilized the technology there. So we just haven't had to use it this year for it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry, one more question here. So I'm looking at 317 when we use the enterprise. Couple things. Why would we need to deploy it 3 separate times within, I don't know, a 40-minute or 30-minute period, for one, and then two, well, also there's pretty short flights happening there, and then also when we do agency assist, is it possible to tie that to a case number with that particular entity, just to have the ability to look it up if we need to look it up, if it's American Canyon or Napa, just in terms of some sort of mutual aid, just getting an understanding that that's actually happening?
Sure. So you can have multiple deployments depending on battery life. So if a battery life of a drone could be, depending on which one it could be a 10-minute. For example, the FPV, that could have a flight time of 5 to 10 minutes, depending on where it is, if the batteries are charged or not. So you could have multiple based on that. For this one specific, it was an agency assist, and we can list the other agencies who we assisted. For example, that one was a CHP agency assist.
Okay, and then, so could you explain why there were 3 different flights from what looks like to me the same drone?
It would be the same drone, the same pilot. I would have to speak to them specific to find out why. Like, for example, again, it could be just a battery swap. If you look at, for example, number 5 and number 6, they're both ESU, same case numbers. They had a total flight time of 25 minutes, and the other one was 9 minutes, but there was battery swaps in between it. It's how the pilot can catalog it or log it in. Each one will show up as an individual flight.
Right.
So this pilot did it as 3 different flights, and they started off at 6:10, and I can
Right.
only assume based on their numbers, they set it up again at 6:29 because the unit will take each flight and put it as a different line item.
So you know that to be the case for this particular situation?
Not for that one specific, that's what I'm assuming based on what we had just talked about.
So at what point would it trigger you to investigate uses like this rather than just assuming that that's the case?
I guess it would be a matter of if I have a concern or a concern's brought to my attention, or for example, if we have a flight that's up there for 4 or 5 hours, I should know about it for
Right.
sure. But
I guess I'm just asking because I want to just understand, like this, while it makes sense to you, right, folks in the public, it may not make sense. Clearly, I'm asking these questions, right? But I wonder, it makes me think about what sort of, I guess I'm asking how often are you checking the logs to ensure there's nothing improper happening?
each
my
month,
next question.
each month the pilots have to report to me, as well as keep their logs up to date that what they did or they didn't do.
And
As
how do
well
you
as they put it
verify
in into our reporting system as well, that they've deployed a drone or not.
And how do you verify that, you yourself?
What do you mean?
How do you verify what they're putting in is true?
So if I need to audit, I can pull a drone specifically and it's recorded on there. A person would have to physically go in and manually delete the file if they wanted to do that.
Do you do random audits?
I do. I have access to all of the drones as well at any time.
And how often do you do those random audits?
I wouldn't say I randomly audit it in the sense of like a set time, but I'll look at it to make sure if it matches up.
Would you say that happens once a month, twice a month?
It depends on if there's an issue with the drone or not. And so part of it, when you guys had approved the Axon contract on the last one of the things we're working towards is moving to Axon. It's called Drone Sense, and that's one of the ones that you guys have provided. Now that logs all of them. The problem we have right now is a lot of our drones are not compatible with that. But as these things are, like I explained at the one of the previous ones, are like cell phones. They eventually are no longer airworthy, and they get changed. As those ones come on board and come online, those ones will be automatically categorized and logged, everything through Axon, which is the system we use for all of our evidence anyways. So it's a matter of time before these ones get phased out.
Okay, I guess I have an issue with the checking of the officers. Not saying that they're doing anything proper, but
Sure.
it'd be helpful to this body, and I'm sure the public at large, to know that there is a check on the use of this technology, which can easily be misused by anybody. So, thank you.
Any other comments or feedback on drones? Lieutenant Ty and Captain Bautista, how do y'all feel that the Raven technology is working so far in your, from the experience so far you've had with it?
I've actually talked to our line level officers who use it quite often. The only problem with Raven is our inability to check every single alert that we receive, similar to that of LPRs. When they get a stolen vehicle hit or a DOJ want, they're not always readily available to check it. However, the feedback that I have gotten from our officers is that it is absolutely useful, especially when we have victims or witnesses who are not so forthcoming with locations of shootings and or their involvement. So it kind of helps them narrow down of where to look, where to find these crime scenes, as well as crime scenes that they weren't even aware of when it comes to multiple shootings, like say a running gun battle, starting at one location and then continuing to another. It kind of helps them track that. So that, in that sense, it's absolutely helpful.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments for this? All right. Then moving on to 11B, the ad hoc committee report. We're still working with the police department on the policy, drafting the policy. So we'll come back to that. And any future agenda items? No? Okay.
Yep. Chair, so Chair, action item A and B will come back to you in the next meeting. And in the next meeting, we will have new board members being seated and sworn in. So we'll see how it looks. I may squeeze in a Browns Act training as well.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you. All right. With that, I guess we can adjourn. Do we have a motion? Do we? Oh, all right. Well, there we go. Let's adjourn. We're done. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.